What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of BSP's Blocked List presented by Couch Guys Sports. I'm your host, BSP, also known as Brianna, and my job is to bring you every single story that I am following and the stories that I am blocking from the world of Boston sports and beyond. I had this ready, figured wouldn't be an opening day without this. My Friday night red. Let's just put it on and see what it feels like. Let's try it out. Yeah, this is nice. This is great. Baseball's back, everybody. We finally did it. It was a crazy spring and summer without it. Felt like we were definitely missing something, but we made it. Now, I'm not sure if it's because I've been in a bad mood this week or if just a lot of things that I'm not really a fan of are happening, but I have more stories that I'm blocking and more important stories that I'm blocking this week than I'm following, one of which is going to get pretty heated once I talk about it. If you can imagine what it is, it's pretty easy to guess, but there are some that I'm following, so let's start with those and we'll get to the good stuff. So over the weekend, a lot of prominent NFL players like Drew Brees, DeAndre Hopkins, we're speaking out against the way the NFL is handling this plan to return to play while also keeping them healthy. There was no health plan in place to start the season, despite the fact that the NFL had all of this time to get all of this together because their season was poised to start the last. Now, with no preseason games, that means we are not going to be able to see Cam Newton go up against Carolina Panthers, who are scheduled to play the Patriots in week 2 of the preseason, which was something I definitely was looking forward to, given all the subtle jabs and even sometimes not so subtle jabs that he's been tossing out to the team for giving up on him before I think they really should have. It would have been, even though it was a preseason game and he probably wouldn't have gone as hard as he would have had it been regular season, still would have been fun to watch. Speaking of Cam, we finally got it. We got the video that I have been waiting for. Him and Julian Edelman were seen working out together at UCLA, and it was everything I kind of hoped it would be. I kind of wish it was a little bit longer of a video because it wasn't enough for me. That one pass, it looks like the connection's there. I know you can't, make assumptions like that off of one throw and one completion, but it looks like it's there, and I'm excited for it. I feel like I said in last week's episode, Julian Edelman's not going anywhere from this offense. Cam Newton is only going to utilize him. It's just going to be great things. There's going to be nothing bad about that duo, and I am so here for it. Finally, on the Cam Newton front, he landed at Logan Airport Wednesday night, wearing only something Cam can pull off. And the best way I thought of to describe it is if you could remember that SpongeBob episode where Squidward's talking about doing anything he wants, being whatever he wants, and he goes, a football player, or a king, or a spaceman, and SpongeBob goes, or a football playing king in space. That's literally what this outfit is, and no one in the universe could pull it off, except for Cam Newton. So when he was interviewed, he told the press, assuming he already told them because a reporter said, we know you don't want to do this. So I'm assuming he told them that he didn't want to talk, but they got one little line out of him, and he said he's ecstatic to join the team, and that's all he's saying. So he's already adapting to the Patriot way of not giving too much to the media when you're not supposed to. And I don't think any of us expected that. I think it's a good start. I think Belichick will be happy with that. Moving on to our boys on the ice, specifically our Saint, Patrice Bergeron, who was named a finalist for the Selke Trophy for the 9th consecutive year. Let's just say that again, okay? 9th consecutive year. It's like Ed Rooney saying 9 times, talking about Ferris Bueller's absences. 9 times he's been named a finalist for this award that he should just have named after him once he retires because it's absolutely insane. It's like death, taxes, Bergie nominated, and becomes a finalist for the Selke. It's just the constants in life, and we're proud of him, and if he doesn't win it, like I say every year, it's a travesty. In some not so exciting Bruins news, back to David Pastrnak and Andre Kasha. Cam Neely said they are not expected to practice with the team until they get to Toronto this weekend, which I don't like at all, but I'm not gonna worry about it yet until games start being played and they are not seen on the ice. But it still does not sit well with me that they are not getting practice time before going into the bubble or the hub, whatever you wanna call their hockey spot. Doesn't sit well with me. They had all this time off, and now when they can finally get back on the ice, they're not, especially Pasta, because he's going to be a key player come, the push for the cup. But I'm not going to worry about it yet. They have not played any games. They don't play any games for about a week, and I'm not going to worry. Speaking of the bubble, where the Celtics seem to be living their absolute best lives given the circumstances, we got a pretty good update about the team's health from Brad Stevens, where he said Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, and Marcus Smart have all been healthy throughout this little preseason process. So really our eyes are just on Kemba Walker and whatever the hell is happening with this knee. The Celtics are playing OKC today in their first scrimmage of the preseason, and he's not expected to play. Let's just hope that they're resting him so he could get one little run in before the season starts and then be good to go next Friday when they open up against Milwaukee, because that's not really an easy task to start the season with, especially when your starting point guard is not 100%. Never in my life did I think I would sit here and criticize Tom Brady. That's just not something I thought I would do. I could never picture him doing anything wrong. And I'm not sure if it's because I feel a little bitter towards him given everything, but I feel like this is an important thing that we need to talk about when it comes to him, because he kind of gets away with it, and I don't think, especially given the world we're living in right now, I don't think he should. Up until Wednesday night, Tom Brady didn't say a word, and I feel like it needs to be said that he's more worried about marketing his brand and showing that he's working out for his new team than he is about speaking out against all of these issues, not just socially but within his own league, despite the fact that he's one of, if not the most prominent player that the NFL has. And maybe that's dated, maybe that's just because I grew up and Tom Brady has always been number one, but if he's the GOAT, and if we're gonna call him the GOAT, he needs to be the GOAT when it comes to supporting his peers, his coworkers, the people around him, the people that support him in the league. He just doesn't do it. Now, when it comes to the whole Black Lives Matter movement, he really didn't say much. He posted a graphic here and there, but he wasn't, outspoken about the whole issue. And it got to the point where I believe it was Jarvis Landry kind of said, hey, Tom, publicly on Twitter, we need to hear from you. We need you to speak out. We need your support. And I don't believe we saw any of that. Like I said, I never thought I'd sit here and criticize Tom Brady, but this is something he needs to be better about. And until he does, you gotta look to somebody else to be the mouthpiece of the league, because it's not him. And it's sad to say, because like I said, he's such a prominent person in this league, and you would hope that he would worry more about the social issues and worry about more important things than selling his TB12 face mask or water bottle. Sorry if that made anybody mad. I know speaking out against Tom Brady is taboo here in New England, but it's just something I've noticed, and it's something that I think we aren't criticizing enough. Another story that I just want to completely do away with for good, I want to block it for the rest of my sports fan life, is Antonio Brown. I want this whole thing to be over. I want the saga with him to be over. He retired, and then he unretired, and then he retired, and then he unretired. And now who the hell knows what he's doing? Because I don't. All I know is that he Wednesday night got upset and now wants the league to close their investigation into him so he could play again, even though he said 3 days ago that he was done playing football. I don't know. I don't freaking know. Let's just put our rational caps on, our rational brain. Can we get those to work for a second? There is no way, and I say this with about as much certainty as I could possibly have, there's no way if this case gets closed, he will be able to play football. That is just, it's something that we all need to understand. He's gonna be suspended big time because of the content of this investigation. It's serious stuff, and the NFL appears to not be taking it lightly, finally, when it comes to serious stuff that their players have done. I won't name names, but you know exactly who and what I'm talking about. But apparently they're taking this one very seriously, because this investigation has been going on for almost a year now. Whether he gets cleared of it or not, there's no way he's gonna be able to play football again. I can't think of any team that would want to pick him up. I know I saw that the Seahawks were interested, but they had Josh Gordon, and then what? He couldn't make it a full season. He's as good of a receiver as Antonio Brown is. He is a disaster piece to put in a locker room. That's the end of it. And I really do think he's just a complete nut job. I think he's one of those people that fame got to, because I obviously don't know what he was like before, but now it really does seem like the fame got to him, and he's just losing screws left and right. All his live streams from the off season, where he's yelling at police officers and yelling at one of his baby mamas, that's not something a sane, normal person does. Last time I checked, I don't think I've ever done that, and I like to think I'm teeter-tottering on, the line of normalcy. Some may beg to differ, but that's whatever, your prerogative. But But Antonio Brown is completely over the line of sane. And if all of his social media posts from quarantine and all that didn't show you, we need to get you glasses, because we need to put Antonio Brown in the NFL to bed, because I can't see it happening. So this is the story that I told you guys. Just has me all riled up, and I'm positive I'm not the only one. There's no way I can be the only one. But over the last 48 hours, I've had time to think about it, and it's gotten to the point where I've thought about it enough that I told our editor, Nick, that I was gonna need a bleep button for this segment, because that's how just angry I am that this happened. So we all know Mookie Betts and the Los Angeles Dodgers came to an agreement on a 12-year contract extension for $365 million. Okay, got that? So now he's going to be with the Dodgers for 13 whole years, and he's going to be making $392 million. I know those are all big numbers, respectively, that I'm just throwing at you right now, but I need you to grasp that whole thing, and then I'll continue. So I'll give you, okay, got it? Yeah, okay. So the Red Sox decided that Mookie Betts was not worth that, and they used the lame-ass excuse that, we'll go over the luxury tax if we extend him any more than that, and we just can't go over the luxury tax. God forbid we get a draft pick taken away or lose a couple $1 million that, we can afford because we're wildly wealthy. Mookie Betts isn't worth it. You know who thought he was worth it? I know they didn't go over the luxury tax of this, but you know who thought he was worth an extension like that? The Los Angeles Dodgers, who he now is going to be with until I am almost 37 years old. And if the fact that I'm going to be 37 isn't gross enough, it's the fact that he is going to be on a team when I'm that old that isn't the Boston Red Sox, which it should have been. So this is where the bleep button comes in, because I'm going to hand out some love to people who deserve it, because it's John Henry, just absolutely you. There's no way all of us as fans can see the talent that Mookie Betts is and is going to be, and realize that he's somebody that ownership needs to make it a point to keep around forever. But you, as the owner, the person who writes the checks, the person who decides, where the money goes, you decide maybe not so much. Okay. See, now me, as a girl who doesn't have even close to a fraction as much money as Fenway Group and the Henrys and anybody really in Red Sox ownership, I have a brain, and I like to think it's a brain that works pretty well, especially when it comes to sports and, gauging talent and how that talent should be handled. When it comes to Mookie Betts, like I said, I don't make the rules, I'm not in charge, but I should be. This is one of those times where I should be put in charge, because I feel like I speak for everybody when I say Mookie Betts was somebody that the Red Sox absolutely needed to hold on to and build around no matter what. No matter what. I don't care if they sucked and they didn't win 10 games for a couple years. You have Mookie Betts, you can make things happen. The Dodgers have Mookie Betts now, so they're going to make things happen because they are absolutely loaded right now. And if they don't win a World Series with him on this team, actually, if they don't win 5 World Series in the span of 13 years with him on this team, if they're able to keep the core group that they have right now, that's a disappointment to me. Because I had that same thought about the Red Sox if they kept Mookie Betts and they kept this core group. And it blows my mind. It baffles me. Sometimes I'm at a loss for words at how just absolutely infuriating Red Sox ownership can be. And now this isn't the first time that this has happened, obviously. Didn't they do the same thing to John Lester? You would think history wouldn't repeat itself. You'd learn from mistakes that you've made in the past. And when you have someone who is a perennial MVP, not even all-star, MVP. This guy could win 15 MVPs in his career if he really wanted to. That's not worth it though. It's not worth going over the tax. It's not worth dishing out a big contract like that. No, we're just not gonna do it. Which is great, because you know what you just did? You opened the door for somebody else to do it, and for somebody else to value him at the level he should be, and it just makes you look like an absolute fool. And if that's, that's what Henry and the boys, want to be known for, as the people who let Mookie Betts go, they got it. They got their wish, because everybody is just laughing at them right now. It's pathetic to think about. It really is. And the return for him, I mean, I'm not even gonna get into that because that's a whole nother segment that I could go off on. But you had Mookie Betts and you let him walk. You let him go. You actually gave him away. And now he is gonna be living in beautiful Los Angeles, living it up. Might hit Malibu, drive down the PCH, buy a convertible with the top down. He is literally going to be living my dream for the next 13 years in that beautiful city. All because the Red Sox didn't value him. And sure, he turned down offers, absolutely. But those offers were secondary offers. If the Red Sox came to him initially with a number like the Dodgers did, do I feel like he would have stayed? Yeah, maybe. If they showed him up front that they want him to be here forever and they value him the way he should be valued, I think he might have stayed. I don't think it has anything to do with him wanting out of Boston. I think the Red Sox royally it up. And I'll go even as far as saying that this, in my lifetime, might be the biggest mistake this team will make. Now, I'm 23 years old. I like to think I still have a lot of living left to do. So that's a lot of time for them to mess up again. And I don't think anything is going to top this. But good for Mookie Betts for finding a team that is going to value him, sees his value without even playing a game. By the time this airs, he will have played one game with the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's not an exhibition game. One game. But they knew. They already watched what he did in Boston. They knew what they were getting with him. And they said, you know what? We're not going to be idiots like those guys up in Beantown and let this guy go. He's not going to even be able to test free agency. You know why? Because we want him. Gotta love Red Sox ownership, though. Could have been us. Could have been. And now for the last story that I'm blocking, which I'm not really sure how I feel about this one. It's definitely really weird. I'm not sure if I like it or if I don't like it. But it's just, it's weird. And it just fits 2020 to a T. And that is Fox Sports is going to, instead of just having no fans in the stands on baseball broadcasts that are going to be on Fox, they're going to put virtual fans in the stands like you see in Madden or in the show. And it's just like, they're little like sim characters. And they're going to be wearing team colors, and it's just, we already have the piped in crowd noise, which I don't think I like, because seeing no one in the stands while hearing the piped in noise, it's weird. And I think it would be even weirder if I saw a little virtual me sitting in the bleachers at Fenway if the Red Sox are playing on Fox. Like, I don't want that. I would much rather them just say, you know what, our players curse. That's just how it is. And I would rather them mic up the players or just let the mics around pick up their voices rather than pipe in noise and have virtual fans in the stands. So Fox Sports, I am blocking this story completely. Please don't do this. It's going to be weird. I've decided I don't like it. I've talked myself into not liking this. This is just crazy times we're living in. I just want to go to a game. And like, I want to go to a game. I don't want a virtual me to go. I don't want a cardboard cutout me to go. I physically want to put my butt in a seat and have the back of my legs get all sweaty and get stuck. That's how badly I want to go to a game. I will voluntarily accept the back of my legs sticking to a seat at Fenway. That's how bad I want to go. But these virtual and cardboard cutout things, like, I'm not on board with this. It's so odd. So this week, instead of a Who's Mad segment, because I don't really think I pissed anybody off and got into it with anybody, credit to me for being mature and an adult and being able to hold my tongue, even though I did see some things that I should have gone off on and didn't. I'm going to replace it with a mailbag question. So you guys tweeted me a couple questions that I think I have some pretty good answers to, so we're going to start that up. So first one from Boston JMD. He goes, of Boston's / New England's professional sports teams, rank them in order of chances of winning their respective championships. All right, so the Boston Bruins are number one. I feel like they have had throughout their entire weirdo season the best shot out of all 4 teams to win, and I don't see that changing. The only thing that I would be a little nervous about and would make me kind of change my mind is if Pasta's not good to go, but this is more of just, I'm assuming, a quarantine thing for him than an actual health issue. So the Bruins are definitely my number one. Number 2 is obviously going to be the Celtics. Like, same with the Bruins. They had a really good season and then just things stopped. But going back into it, I feel like if Kemba's healthy, there's no reason why we shouldn't believe that they could win a championship. And like I said last week, I feel like a lot of people are really sleeping on them, which is kind of good. I mean, coming out of the East, I don't see any reason why they can't make a push. And then when it comes to the Red Sox and the Pats, it's a little... I'm not really sure. I don't really think either of them could win their respective championship. I think I would give the Pats the edge over the Sox just because the defense is still going to be elite this year. And if Cam Newton is healthy, I think the things that him and McDaniels can put together with this offense are going to be unbelievable, really. It's just a matter of his health, the way he picks up the offense. And we need to remember that their schedule is not easy this year at all. I believe they have the hardest schedule in the league. So I've seen people say that the Pats are gonna, win the East, which I can see them winning the AFC East for sure. I still think they're better now with Cam than the Bills. They're definitely better than the Jets and the Dolphins. But do I really think they're gonna win 12, 13 games? No, I don't. I really don't. I think with Stidham as your starter, you're looking at hovering around 500. And with Cam, I think that bumps you up to 10 wins. Granted, nobody ever knows. My predictions are always freaking wrong. So that could be, they could go undefeated this year for all I know. Like, I can never predict a season right. They're not going to go undefeated. But just for the sake of argument, that's what I'm trying to get across to you. That I'm not right, ever. I try to be, but I'm not. But I think they have the better chance of winning the Super Bowl than the Red Sox do of winning a World Series. Their pitching is just going to be a disaster. So they are going to be my number 4. So it's going to go Bruins, Celtics, big gap, and then Pats, Sox. So as it turns out, in that last answer, I actually answered a couple more questions that I was going to hit. One of them being, is this the most depleted Red Sox rotation we've ever seen? Yes or yes. The answer is absolutely yes, and there's no need to dive into that again because we all know what the rotation looks like, and we all know that it's not great. And then the next one is, what's the Patriots ceiling for this season in terms of wins? Like I said, I feel like with Cam as a starter, they're going to be around a 10-win team, maybe 11 if they're lucky. And then if for whatever reason Stidham wins the job, I think you're looking at around 500, 8 or 9 maybe. So this next question comes from one of our other podcasts on Couch Guys Sports, Small State Big Takes. And they asked me, how would you rank the AFC East projected week 1 starting quarterbacks right now? Now, if we're gonna assume that Cam is gonna be the Pats week 1 starter, he's gonna be my number 1. And then there's gonna be a bit of a gap between 1 and 2, and that's where Josh Allen is gonna sit. Sorry guys, I know a couple of you are Bills fans and you're not gonna be happy with that one. But like I said last week, I don't think he's a good quarterback. I think he's very average and he's young. Yeah, so he's gonna be my number 2. And then at 3, again, pretty big gap, Sam Darnold. At 4, I'm just gonna put Miami because nobody's really sure who's going to be starting for the Dolphins. It could be Tua, it could be Fitzmagic. And if they roll with Fitzmagic, I think I'm going to bump him up to the 3 spot and close that gap between him and Allen. I still think Josh Allen has the edge just because he's a little bit younger and he's got a little bit more arm strength than Fitzy does. But Cam Newton's the number 1 in the AFC East right now. Sorry, I know everybody's looking forward to a year where the Pats wouldn't have the number 1 quarterback in the division, but sorry, what are you gonna do?